Hi, folks. I just wanted to check in a little bit today and talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are going to be going on this week. I just sent out the peer edits for your group. If you didn't get your essay in on time or the draft of the essay in on time, unfortunately, you won't be included in the edits. But definitely I would suggest if you didn't get to do a peer edit that before you turn in your paper, which is due, the final draft with all the corrections due Monday the 12th, I would have somebody look at it. And if you don't have anybody that you're comfortable looking, like in your household or around you, just know that there is an online tutoring program through the urban campus that you can log in. You can make an appointment, or I think they have it where you can just pop in if there's somebody available, and they can look at your paper with you if you'd like. So there are lots of different resources out there. There is a peer editing guide that's within that sheet. It's very similar to the one that we use for Reflection Essay 1, but it does it definitely does address also the citation element. And this is something that I just want to make sure that I'm stressing on this. You are absolutely required to have a works cited page on Reflection Essay 2. And that works cited page then should have corresponding citations in the paper anywhere you use the source, whether it's a direct quote in actual quotes or whether it's just something where you can say, I didn't know this until I read it in this source. So it's really, really important. That's part of the skills that we're practicing here. If you had last week's module had a number of MLA resources in it. So please feel free to reach out, but that is an absolute requirement of the paper. So that's something to keep in mind as you're planning this last week. So one of the other things that's a big focus of this week, though, is you're going to select a young adult literature book. So the last big essay of the class is a literary analysis paper that I'm going to walk all of you guys through and all that. But I wanted you to have plenty of time to start reading whatever your selection is. So I also listed or put in today's module 2 different lists of some big comprehensive lists of like best young adult literature out there. And there's some great ideas. I will also point to your textbook at the end of each chapter. There's also a long list of different books about by subject, by theme, different things. So feel free to dig into those a little bit. But if you're wondering what like a young adult book is, well, Harry Potter is a young adult book, right? Now I'm going to ask that I don't want you guys to use Harry Potter. I don't want you to use the Hunger Games. Nothing that's really, really been so mass marketed that you could, talk about it without having actually read the book. So I am going to ask you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and read something new. I know, I had not had a huge, I hadn't done a lot of young adult literature reading when I was going through college. And in my own children's literature book that I took at Grandview, or in that class, I read one of the best books I've ever read in my life, which is The Giver, which is an amazing young adult book. Many of you may have read that. I'm going to steer you towards fiction, like novels, but as long as it's made for young adults and is more than that big, there's a lot of great historical fiction out there. There's some biographies that are really, really good, informational texts, but I'll just show you some examples. So here, The Hate U Give is a very very well-known young adult book. It's one that has been banned several times because of language and the discussion of racial disparities in the United States. But that would be considered a young adult literature book. This is one I got for my daughter a while back. This is, I'm not familiar with this series myself, but she really, really likes it. So that's my 14-year-old daughter really likes these. I heard a review of this on NPR and it was very, very well reviewed. And then this last one was one of my Christmas gifts. My daughter that is serving in Germany right now in the Army, she's 20, and she is a voracious reader. And when I was talking about planning this class and saying that I was going to have you guys pick a book and all this. She sent me this book. I haven't gotten to read it yet, but I think I'm going to read this while you guys are reading yours. So I have something to kind of compare it to as we're going. So there's just a lot of great children's literature or young adult literature out there. So, and again, it is a different genre than just children's literature. It's actually more like geared toward teenagers and tweens sometimes. But there's some really, really good stuff out there. So one of the things you're going to do, I want you to, by the end of next week, or by the end of this module, I should say, so by the 12th, there's a place where you're going to go in and write, this is the book that I chose. This is why I chose it. Here's a little bit that I know about it, or something like that. We're going to keep it really general, but I am excited to hear about that. So, and then you got to start reading it at that point. I didn't overly assign too much. I have, chapter 6 assigned as well this week, but that's a pretty generalized, look at some elements of children's literature. So really this week you're mostly editing. You're going to have that edit, back to your partner by the end of the day on Friday. That way you have the weekend to edit and make your revisions and turn that in. And then you'll be selecting your book and doing a little bit of reading. So please reach out if you have any questions. Again, MLA style and citation, incredibly important in that last essay, the one that we're working on now. And it will also be incredibly important in the 2 additional essays that we're going to, or projects and essays that we're going to be working on as we go forward. So yeah, whatever you choose, you're going to want to pretty much have it read in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So kind of, think about that. If you know that you don't have a huge amount of time, you might not want to get a book this thick. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are for this week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Remember, in general, in the class, things are assigned. I'll have your stuff up by the end of the day on Tuesday. All those things, unless there's something noted differently, like when we do a peer edit, those are due midweek. But generally, the main assignments of the week are always going to be due that following Monday. So again, please reach out if you have any questions, and I hope you enjoy your reading this week. So.